questions at the end, so I'm going to let all four of them speak, and then we'll do a set of questions. Cool.
What's up, lovely people? How you guys doing? How you guys enjoying the conference? Good? Cool. So, as Arisha mentioned, my name is Calesia Monroe. I am representing Anchorage, Alaska. And I'm also representing Alaska Geographic and Chugach Children's Forest. So I'm just give a spill about who I am. Calesia Monroe, I'm 17 years of age. I'm a senior at West Anchorage High School, and I'm also a youth participant in Alaska Geographic Youth Expeditions. So that's me and some other people I work with. So how I got started. Really how I got started with my experience, my wilderness experience, and participating in the Alaska Geographic expeditions. I was nominated by my spoken word coach, and he told me that there's a kayaking trip going on, and that was last year. And so when he told me that, I felt like it was an obligation, like he was asking me to do that. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to represent him. I need to represent Brave New Alaskan Voices. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I didn't think about it at the time. I really didn't read the paper when they gave it to me, nor did my mother. And when I looked at kayaking, I immediately associated with the memory that I had from the time from when I was 10 years old. I used to go to Togo Woods, Camp Togo Woods. It was Girl Scout camp in Palmer, Alaska. And we usually like kayak around the lake. So at the time, as a little kid, I thought it was a big body of water. But as I look back, it's just a lake. What I was doing was sea kayaking. So that was on the Pacific Ocean, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But when I got there, my excitement, it turned. It turned. When I got on that water taxi, I knew that there was no going back. There was no calling my mother to come and get me when I got mad or when someone got on my nerves. There was no calling anyone. So immediately my real self came out, and I knew that there was something I need to work on, like my communication and the way I came off to people. And when people frustrated me, I needed to work on that. And I guess that's what the wilderness does to you. It brings out the real you, and you know what you need to work on. So that's exactly what it did to me. So these are some of the people that I went kayaking with. These are my peers. So some of these people have never been on a real wilderness experience. Like I've never been on a real wilderness expedition before. So immediately I clung to them because they didn't have that experience. They were of ethnicity like I was, like this young lady right here, Mahana, and Reth, whose family is from Sudan. I just immediately clung to them. I didn't give the rest of my peers, I didn't give them a chance. I kind of just judged them off the bat. Like, they're coming from Cordova. These are peers coming from urban and rural village places, locations in Anchorage, and Alaska, excuse me. So they're not just from Anchorage, they're from all over Alaska. So I thought, automatically coming from villages and coming from the rural area, they already know about camping. So I'm like, I kind of felt inferior being in that group. And I knew that these two felt the same way, so we had already had something in common. So we immediately set it off, and we were automatically friends, and I didn't give the rest of my peers, time to, I didn't communicate with them. I just judged them like, they're white and I'm black. They know what they're doing and I don't. And they probably, I feel like I was stupid, like I didn't know what I was doing. So I just didn't give them a chance. But little did I know that once I got down and sat down and talked to them, we actually had a lot in common. And it was a cool trip. I enjoyed everything, including the wag bags. It was something having to carry around your feet. Ooh, that's new to me. But overall, at the time, I didn't really process the whole thing. Everything was coming. It was bombarding my thinking, my feelings. I didn't really know how to feel. So I automatically felt, inferior. I automatically felt like, you know, I shut myself out and I isolated myself. And so I didn't, you know, I just didn't give the whole wilderness experience a try. Plus, I chipped my tooth on the second day, and I was really mad about that. Like, I hurt my self-confidence. like I had a chip in my tooth. I was so mad. And I had to work on that in the way that I approach people, because some words came out of my mouth. But as when I got home, I realized there was a desire, underlying desire, of me wanting to experience that again. And I wanted to get back on my kayak, and I wanted to go kayaking again and be with the same people and sing the same songs and, you know, sit around in the same serenity tent and, you know, talk about relevant things I didn't think that was relevant between them and me, you know. So it was cool, and I enjoyed my time. Oh, let me go back. So you can see that there's still some things I'm working on when it comes to accepting the wilderness. You can see in this photo, every photo you're going to see, I have a bug net on my face. I haven't quite accepted that aspect of the wilderness yet. It's something, you know, just because where I come from and my family, my mama, she doesn't believe in that. She doesn't, you know, my family, we're black. We're chocolate people, you know, so we don't, it's something that was already imprinted on my life before I even knew what life was, before I even knew how to talk. Like, this is something that I was brought up with. Not going outside. We're black, we don't go outside. We don't do those things because of the risk we could put ourselves into. And I believe that's a mentality that came about maybe back in the slave days. I believe that is a mentality that is generational. And that's something that I'm trying to break out of. But when I went on my kayaking trip, my mom and my family, they were very skeptical about me going on this trip, and they gave me a lot of criticism about it, and I resented them for that. And I really wish that they could see and experience what I experienced. Like, there is beauty out there. So some gains and some losses from the kayaking trip. I definitely gained maturity. I definitely gained an experience that no one can take from me. An experience that I kind of like take and I put it in the lobes of my heart, because, you know, it's something that no one can take from me, and I learned a lot about myself, and I self-reflected, and I learned about other people. So that's one of the many things that I gained, and I lost little besides the skin of my teeth. One of the other things that I gained was another opportunity to go backpacking, which is so totally different from kayaking. But I gained the opportunity to do so like a couple months ago in July. And so I went backpacking in Denali National Park for about 6 days. Some of my peers are here today. Those are some of the people that I went kayaking with, backpacking with. So backpacking, I thought I was going into the same experience that I did. You know, it was the same thing that I did when I did with kayaking, but it was totally different. This time I was wet, and I don't like being wet, but I did it anyways. You know, I try to challenge myself to step out of my comfort zone and really learn, because that's where the learning is. That's where the learning process takes place, stepping out of your comfort zone. So that's what I did. And I met some cool people. Like, immediately we set it off. We had, you know, we related. Like, there were things that were very relevant between us. So I gave everybody a chance before judging them. And then I met the park ranger. He's from Chicago, so immediately I related with him. You know, we had some similarities because I went to Chicago for Brave New Voices and to represent Alaska. So we were talking about that, and I just didn't know. I kind of just, yeah, it was cool. It was a cool experience. And then you guys can tell I got the bug net on my face. Still haven't gotten over that. But yeah, so. What I think, a way that I think that we should, way to get the youth and the generations to come involved in the wilderness conversation is really just knowing a way to approach us, and also knowing a way to communicate, because communication is key in all relationships. You're trying to build a relationship with someone, you definitely have to communicate. So, and your communication has to be effective. So you gotta know who you're talking to and not judging them. So coming in with a non-judgmental just mindset. I know a lot of older people are kind of set in their ways, And when they come to young people, I'm pretty sure they think that we are off the chain, we're crazy, and we don't know what we're doing, we're disobedient, we're rebellious. Yes, we kind of are. I'm not gonna lie, but that's what makes us us. That's what's gonna make us, wiser in our adulthood, because we have to learn these things. So I definitely say when you're approaching a youth, just know that we are who we are, and we're going to do what we're going to do regardless of what you're going to say, you know what I mean? So just accept who we are, and talk to us like age doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, because we're two human beings interacting, and you want to get something across, just know that we're two human beings wanting to learn from each other. So kind of just not coming in with expectations, and just coming in, they don't go outside. And when I went outside, outside to them was the park down the street, and that was the boundaries that I was permitted to. I couldn't go past those boundaries. If I went past those boundaries, my family would start to worry. They would automatically have this fear, because it's a mentality that black people have, that people of ethnicity have. It's a mentality that my generation may not have experienced, or my mother may not have experienced, going outside. But you typically we associate fear with wilderness, because black people didn't really have a good experience when it came to going outside. Usually it was for running away from something. It was because of fear. And I'm really making a reference to slavery. Usually when black people went outside, it was because of a lynching. It was because of those things. That's the reason why that trauma was suppressed, and then it moved on to generation to generation. And that generation may not have experienced it, like my mother may not have experienced that trauma, but it was so strong that it moved on. And that same thing that was taught to my mother, like don't ever go outside, was taught to me. So that's something that I'm trying to break out of that mold. And so another thing that stuck out to me was it's all up to us to engage young people in the conversation. Most definitely. It's a 50-50 relationship. So it's up to the old people to engage the youth, but it's also up to the young people to interact and to take that back and to use it so that we can open our minds and put that in our minds, so that when we're trying to engage the next generation, we know exactly what to do. So I appreciate you guys for listening. I'm kind of nervous right now. My knees are buckling. But I appreciate you guys' attention. Thank you.